India play Lebanon in this crucial match in the Hero Intercontinental Cup. It's cup final day, for goodness sake. These two sides, of course, they've already played each other in the round robin of the group stage. It was a game that meant nothing in the end because of Vanuatu's fabulous result against Mongolia. A Mongolia side that also did themselves proud, it must be said. But nonetheless, these two sides faced up in what was essentially a semi-final where both teams got through. It didn't really mean anything, but it did kind of set the tone for this final, and it set the tone for what is not just a final of a Hero Intercontinental Cup, which is a great tournament, sure. It's a bigger picture than that, because this does have a direct impact on, firstly, the SAFF Championship. If India can beat Lebanon in this game and lift the trophy, even if they draw and end up lifting the trophy, you'd have to back them to get really far / win the SAFF Championship, which of course is due to kick off in a couple of days' time. For India, they may even get a walkover win. We're not sure what the situation is going to be regarding Pakistan currently. Even if that game goes ahead, I'd have to give the edge to India. If the game is going to go ahead, we'll do a preview on the India-Pakistan game. But Kuwait, they're going to be tough. Nepal, India arguably should win that as well. I'm not saying these are going to be easy games, but if India can beat Lebanon in this game, it sets the tone for the SAFF Championships. And equally, these games against Lebanon are crucial in FIFA World Ranking. And normally that's not too much of a factor, but with the draw coming up for the AFC qualification route to the 2026 World Cup, being higher in the rankings from an India perspective puts them in pot 2. Likely to be a favourable draw. Again, it could mean nothing at the end of the day, but it adds a little bit of extra spice to an already entertaining cup final. These are two very good sides. Looking at India's track record, that they've not really lost the game for a long time. The quality of sides that they play isn't always the best, which I think is why when they get to World Cup qualification, it's normally a little bit, I'm going to say disappointing, but I think that's just because they win lots and lots of games, and then when they face against tougher opposition, it's more of a challenge. That's kind of logical, right? But games against Lebanon, games against Kuwait, these are going to help. These are going to move things in the right direction. India haven't conceded in this tournament. They've played Mongolia, Vanuatu, Lebanon, 0 goals conceded, 3 goals for. Left it late against Vanuatu, beat Mongolia comfortably. But all in all, what more can you ask, really, from an India perspective in this tournament? They've been very good. There's areas for improvement. I'm sure that India fans will tell me about the way that things play and maybe what does the future look like without Sunil Chetri. These are all big questions. Are you Stimac in or are you Stimac out? But you have to say you can't do too much better in this tournament. And if they can go on and lift the cup, it's been a great tournament so far, and it sets them up perfectly for the SAFF Champs, which I think that they've got to be. If they win this, they've got to be one of the favourites for that if they aren't already. From a Lebanon perspective, it's been a bit of a mixed one, really, because they've drawn 2 of the games. They beat Vanuatu in what was a more challenging game than I thought it was going to be from a Lebanon perspective. They got it over the line in the end, but it was tough to break down what is a very good defensive side from Oceania, Vanuatu. They then drew with Mongolia. Was that a fantastic result for Mongolia? Yes. Was it a poor result for Lebanon? Yes. But it didn't ultimately cost them. The draw against India in the final group game not being an issue for them. But Lebanon are a good side, let's make no mistakes. They're not that susceptible at the back. They've not conceded many goals in this tournament. There's nothing really to go off that makes me think either side are hugely favourites in this one. Other than the fact that for India, they're probably just brimming with confidence at the moment. And I was worried that they'd have half an eye on the Pakistan game coming up. But I think with all the turmoil that's going on around that, and whether or not the Pakistan players are going to be able to travel and whether or not they're going to be able to play, India, they just need to focus on this game, to be honest. I think the SAFF Championship group will take care of itself from an India perspective. I think they could arguably play at 70% and still definitely compete / get out of that group. This game, on the other hand, is a huge chance to lift the cup, to win the tournament. The second time under the iteration of the Hero Cup that they'd have won it. I know it pre-existed that. This is going to be a tough test. I think that we'll see a similar setup. I'd be surprised if it's high scoring, to be honest. I think that Lebanon are solid enough defensively, and India have already shown that they are strong enough defensively. It was a cagey game in what I've dubbed the non-semi-final against Lebanon beforehand. And I think that we'll see similar. I think that first goal is crucial, as it always is. I say that with most previews that we do, because in these kind of fixtures, the first goal is even more crucial than normal. I think it could be a low scorer. And by low scorer, I mean, I don't see anything higher than a 2-1. I could be wrong. I'd love to see a high-scoring game. But I think that I am going to give the edge to India in this one. I do think they can go and lift the trophy. I just think that the confidence that they got, I just think they're kind of oozing class at the moment. All right, the results aren't... They didn't batter anyone, right? They didn't beat Vanuatu 5-0. They didn't beat Mongolia 5-0. But I looked at the Mongolia result at the start and thought, okay, that's all right. It's not amazing. But then Mongolia drew with Lebanon and India beat Vanuatu. And I thought, well, okay. But then Vanuatu, they put up a decent fight against Lebanon. They then beat Mongolia. And it was a bit like, okay, actually, let's put some respect on India here. They've done very well. They've not set the world alight. But equally... They've not done anything badly, and that's how you win tournaments. You win tournaments by winning games 1-0 and by not conceding goals. And Stimac's India side are doing that currently, and I think, from my perspective, I'm going to give them the edge. I'm actually going to go with 2-1. I think it could even be 1-0, but I'm going to go with 2-1 to India in this one. I think it'll be a low scorer. I think it'll be a cagey game, two sides that won't want to lose, rather than two sides overly going for it to win. But I do think that India they're in a great vein of form, and this should set them up perfectly for the SAFF Champs later this month. Have your say in the comments how you think this one's going to go. We're a few hours away from kick-off now. It'll be very interesting to see what the starting lineups are for both these sides. Will Lebanon surprise me, or will India lift the Hero Intercontinental Cup? Thanks for watching, and as always, we'll see you next time.